So I'm going to try reading from a book called Sri Chaitanya, His Life and Associates by Swami B.B. Tirtha. It's Mandala Publishing. It's a very nice book. And I'm going to start with the devotee called Sri Jayadeva. I'll apologise now for any mispronunciation and reading mistakes. I hope you enjoy. Srila Jayadeva Goswami appeared in either the 11th or 12th century of the Shaka era. There is a difference of opinion about his place of birth. The majority opinion holds that he hailed from the village of Kendu-Bilva, presently in the district of Birbhum. Others claim that he was born in either Orissa or South India. Kendu-Bilva is situated about 20 miles south of Siri, on the banks of the Ajaya River, in the Gaudiya Vaishnav Adhidan. It is stated that Jayadeva found his Radha Madhava deities in this river's waters. It is also stated there that he used to rest and worship at the temple of Shiva known as Kushishwar, which is also on the banks of the Ajaya River. Jayadeva's father was named Bojadev and his mother's Vamadevi. Jayadeva's life in Navadvip. Jayadeva lived for a long time in Navadvip during the reign of the king of Bengal, Lakshman Sen, making his home not far from the king's palace. At that time, the king's chief scholar was Govardhanacharya. According to Ashutosh Deb's Bengali dictionary, Jayadeva was Lakshman Sen's court poet. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur writes in his Navadvip Mahatmya that Lakshman Sen was delighted when he heard Jayadeva's hymn to the 10 incarnations, the Dashavatara Stotra. When Govardhanacharya notified the king that it was Jayadeva who had composed the hymn, he became desirous to meet the poet. He went incognito to Jayadeva's house, and when he saw him, he noticed that Jayadeva possessed all the characteristics of a great and powerful spiritual personality. Deeply impressed and attracted by Jayadeva, the king revealed his identity to him and invited him to come and live in the royal palace. Jayadeva was leading a very renounced life and was therefore unwilling to live in the opulent environment of the palace. He told the king that he preferred to live in Jagannath Puri. Lakshman Sen was disappointed by Jayadeva's intentions. He quickly suggested that he take up residence in the village of Champa, Hati, saying that it was a place suitable for a person who wished to lead a meditative life. He also promised him that he would never come and disturb him again. When Jayadeva agreed, Lakshman Sen had a cottage built for him in the village that was formerly known as Champakahata, named after the beautiful garden of champa trees and the village market where its flowers were sold. It was in this village that Mahaprabhu's associate Vijayabhaninath received a vision of him in the Satyuga, seeing him in the form of a Brahmin whose skin was the colour of a champa flower. Similarly, Jayadeva had a vision here, first of Radha Madhava, then of their combined form as the golden champa-coloured Gauranga Mahaprabhu. After the Lord gave Jayadeva his vision, he told him to go to Jagannath Puri. Although Jayadeva was sad to leave the future abode of his Lord, he obeyed the Lord's command and made his way to Puri, where it is said that he was engaged as the king of Orissa's court poet. He spent the remainder of his life in the abode of Lord Jagannath, where he wrote the transcendental poem based on the sentiment of love in separation known as Gita Govinda or Astapadi. Indeed, Mahaprabhu told Jayadeva while giving him the vision in Navadvip that after appearing there he would take sannyas and go to Jagannath Puri where he would relish the Gita Govinda. Further information about the life of Jayadeva is found in the preface to the Calcutta Pusmati Saitya Mandir edition of Gita Govinda. Sometime prior to the Muslim conquest of Delhi, King Manikya Chandra ordered the writing of the book Alankara Sekara, in which Jayadeva is mentioned as the court poet of the king of Orissa. Sridhar Das, the son of one of the chief courtiers of Lakshman Sen, included many of Jayadeva's verses in his anthology, Sad Ukti Karanrita, citing the work named Amibhya Kavya. The Kolapon to one ancient manuscript of the Gita Govinda states, Jayadeva had a great reputation as a poet during the time of Lakshman Sen. Jayadeva's marriage to Padmavati. According to legend, Jagannath himself ordered Jayadeva to marry his wife, Padmavati. The story is told in the Vishvakosha as follows. There once was a Brahmin who was without offspring despite having worshipped Jagannath for many years in the hope of having a son. Finally, he and his wife had a daughter and they named her Padmavati. When she came of marriageable age, the Brahmin brought her to Lord Jagannath to offer her to his lotus feet. When he saw them, Jagannath said to the Brahmin, I have a servant whose name is Jayadeva. He has given up family life and has dedicated himself to chanting my names. Give your daughter to him in marriage. The Brahmin took his daughter to Jayadeva and asked him to marry his daughter. However, since Jayadeva had no desire to get married, he refused to agree to any such arrangement. The Brahmin then told him that it was Jagannath himself who had arranged this marriage, and without another word he left, leaving his daughter behind. Jayadeva found himself totally unprepared for this situation and told the girl, Tell me where you want to go, and I will take you and leave you there. You cannot stay here. Padmavati started crying and said, My father brought me here to marry you on Jagannath Dev's order. You are my husband, my all in all. If you do not accept me, then I will fall down at your lotus feet and die right here. You are my only hope, my lord. The poet and scholar Jayadeva could not abandon her after such a heartfelt plea, so he became a householder. The Lord helps Jayadeva write Gita Govinda. Jayadeva took up the worship of a Narayan deity and in the waves of love he felt for him, began reciting Gita Govinda with its incomparable ambrosia. It is said that though Jayadeva is responsible for all the moods and sentiments that appear in the Gita Govinda, he had some reticence about writing that Krishna fell down at Radharani's feet to beg her forgiveness when she was angry with him for having deceived her. On that day when Jayadeva left the house to take his bath in the ocean, Lord Jagannath himself came inside, disguised as Jayadeva, opened his manuscript and completed the verse he had started. Smara Karala Kandana Mama Sirasi Mandanam, with the words Dehi Pada Palavam Udaram. Make the noble blossom of your foot an ornament on my head, as it dispels the poison of love in separation. Padmavati was surprised to see her husband back so soon from his bath and asked, What are you doing here? You left just a minute ago. The disguised Jagannath answered, I thought of something I had forgotten while I was on my way. I was afraid I might forget, so I came back to write it down. Not long after Jagannath had left, the real Jayadeva returned. This time Padmavati was really astonished to see him. She said, "You just left to go and take a bath. Just a few moments ago you were writing in your manuscript, and then you left. How have you finished and come back so quickly? I'm beginning to wonder who that was and who you are." Jayadeva was clever enough to guess what had happened, and he went and looked at his unfinished text and saw the words that the Lord himself had written. The hair stood on end all over his body, and tears came pouring from his eyes. He called Padmavati and said to her, "You are so fortunate. Your life has been made worthy. You have had the good fortune to see the Lord himself. I am so lowly that I did not have that opportunity." Jagannath's love for Gita Govinda. There is a legend told in Jagannath Puri that there was a flower gardener's daughter who had learned Gita Govinda and would sing it with great emotion. Jagannath was attracted by her singing and would go to listen to her, only returning to the temple after she had finished her singing. One day when the king of Orissa came to see the deity, he saw that the Lord's body was covered in dust and his clothes filled with thorns. He asked the pujaris the reason for the Lord's dishevelled condition, but no one could explain how it had come about. The servants of the deity were afraid that they would be punished, but that night Jagannath appeared to the king in a dream and explained that no one was to blame for his clothes being soiled that day. He had gone to listen to the gardener's daughter and had become covered with dust and thorns while hiding in the garden. The king was struck with wonder by his dream and immediately sent the gardener's daughter to be brought to the court in a palanquin. After making inquiries from her, he decided that she should sing for Jagannath in the temple rather than obliging the Lord to leave the temple and get all dirty. This was the beginning of the tradition of the temple engaging girls named Devadasis to sing Gita Govinda for Jagannath's pleasure. Mahaprabhu appreciates Gita Govinda. In the last 12 years of his Leela, Mahaprabhu was absorbed in Radha's mood and constantly relished this hidden spirit of love. During this time, he would savour the songs of the Gita Govinda. Day and night the Lord would speak as though he were Radha meeting Uddhava. He would also relish the poems of Chandidas, Jayadeva and Vidyapati. Mahaprabhu was never pleased to hear books or verses that contradicted Siddhanta, nor did he like hearing Rasabas, an improper mixture of devotional sentiments. It was the practice of Swarup Damodar Goswami to examine all the works of literature to find out whether their conclusions were correct. Only then would he allow them to be heard by the Lord. Sri Swarup Damodar used to make Mahaprabhu very happy by singing the songs of Vidyapati, Chandidas and Gita Govinda. From Chaitanya Charitamrita 210, 113 to 115. Swarup Damodar would sing songs that reflected the moods of the Lord whenever they arose. Ramananda Roy also selected verses from Vidyapati, Chandidas and Gita Govinda according to the Lord's mood. Chaitanya Charitamrita 217, 5 to 6. The Lord returned to external consciousness for a moment and told Swarup to sing some sweet songs. Swarup sang one of Vidyapati's lyrics and then songs from the Gita Govinda, which were greatly appreciated by the Lord. Chaitanya Charitamrita 3:17-62. Day and night Mahaprabhu ecstatically relished the songs of Chanidas, Vidyapati and Ramananda Roy's plays, as well as Krishna Karanamrita and Gita Govinda in the company of Swarup and Ramananda. Chaitanya Charitamrita 2:277. Jayadeva and the Robbers. Many other such marvellous and miraculous events were scattered throughout Jayadeva's life. He used to serve his deities Radha Madhava in a trance of divine love. It is said that just as the devotee dedicates himself to the Lord also dedicates himself to his devotee. One day as Jayadeva was thatching his roof under the merciless midday sun, Jagannath saw his devotee's discomfort and decided to help him quickly finish the work by handing him the rope needed to bale the straw and removing the finished bundles and placing them on the roof. Jayadeva thought that it was Padmavati who was helping him in this way. But when he came down from the roof after finishing much earlier than expected, he saw no one there. He asked his wife, and she told him that she had been busy elsewhere at the time. He was curious about what had happened, but struck with wonder when he went into the deity room and saw Madhava's hands were black from handling the straw. He was thus able to understand that it was Madhava himself who had come to help him thatch the roof. He fell down before his Lord and started to cry. On another occasion, Jayadeva wished to put up a festival for his deities Radha Madhava, but he was short of money. He decided to travel in order to collect some funds by making use of his poetic skills. On his return journey, he was stopped by a band of thugs who not only stole his money but cut off his hands and feet and threw him down a well to die. Despite the pain, Jayadeva shouted out the names of the Lord as loudly as he could. After Jayadeva had spent 3 days in that way, the king happened to pass that way on a hunting expedition and heard the sounds of the holy name coming from the hole in the ground. The king approached the sound out of curiosity and was horrified to see Jayadeva in such a serious condition. He had him pulled out of the well and brought back to his palace where he had him treated. Under the queen's care, Jayadeva gradually returned to health. Both the king and queen were charmed by Jayadeva's sweet singing of the Gita Govinda, as well as by his saintly character. They sent for Padmavati and had her brought to their home to help take care of him. The royal couple heard about Krishna from Jayadeva and took initiation from him and started to make their life successful by service of the Lord and his devotees. One day the robbers who had attacked Jayadeva came to the king's palace as guests in the guise of devotees. Even though Jayadeva recognized who they were, he offered them the appropriate honor due to their outward appearance and arranged for the king's hospitality to be extended to them. The robbers, however, did not understand Jayadeva's forgiving and generous nature, and fearing capture and punishment, thought it best to leave without accepting the royal invitation. Jayadeva understood their fear and asked the king to give them a large sum of money, an escort, and send them on their way. After they had gone a certain distance, the robbers said to the soldiers accompanying them, "You need not go any further. However, we would like to give you a secret message to convey to the king. Prior to becoming Vaishnavas, we were servants of a certain king who, for very good reason, ordered us to murder this priest, Jayadeva. That is why we cut off his hands and feet and left him to die. The reason this priest gave us a lot of money and asked us to leave quickly is because he was afraid that this secret would come out." Unable to tolerate the telling of such a great lie, the earth herself opened up and swallowed the entire gang of thieves. The goddess of the earth was unable to support the weight of these sinful liars, so she swallowed them up as they blasphemed the great devotee of the Lord. They met their doom in the bowels of the earth. When Sukracharya, the guru of the demons, told Bali Maharaj not to give 3 feet of land demanded by Vamanadev, Bali answered that he was the grandson of Prahlad Maharaj. How could he go back on his word like a miser once he had committed himself to giving in charity? He substantiated this by quoting the earth. There is no greater irreligiousness than untruth, says the earth. I can bear any burden other than that of a person who constantly lies. Srimad Bhagavatam 8:24. The servant of the king who had accompanied these robbers were astonished to see them punished for their offences to Jayadev right before their very eyes. When they came back to the king's palace, they told him everything they had witnessed. The king inquired from Jayadev about the robbers, and he told the entire story. He said, "O king, a saintly man does not seek revenge from those who have done evil towards him. He attempts to satisfy them by polite behavior. Even so, the Lord's flawless will makes them suffer the consequences of their own sins, as he did in this case." Padmavati is tested. Jayadev's wife became a close friend to the queen. In those days, the practice of sati, where the wife would enter the funeral pyre along with her husband, was an accepted custom. After her brother's death, the queen was mortified that her sister-in-law would have to die on the funeral pyre with him. Padmavati said to the queen, "A faithful wife's life heirs leave her body the very moment that her husband dies." When the queen heard this, she decided to test Padmavati herself. One day she announced to Padmavati that her husband Jayadev had suddenly died. As soon as this news entered Padmavati's ears, she instantly gave up her life. Padmavati's sudden death shocked the queen, who began to cry out of a sense of guilt for having caused it. The king went to Jayadev and begged him to return the life to Padmavati's corpse. The great devotee Jayadev whispered the name of Krishna into his wife's ear, and she opened her eyes as though she had just been awakened. Upon seeing this manifestation of both Jayadev's and Padmavati's glories, the king and queen, as well as their couriers and servants, paid obeisances at their feet. Jayadev goes to Vrindavan. After this, Jayadev wished to see Vrindavan. He took leave of the king and queen, and then, taking his deities Radha and Madhava with him, set off on the long journey. Once in Vrindavan, he began to serve his deities in an area near Keshigat. When the residents of the Dham heard Jayadev sing the Gita Govinda in his sweet voice, they were entranced. One merchant built a large temple for the deities on that site. It is said that Jayadev returned to his birthplace in Kendu-Bilva after living in Vrindavan for many years. He spent the rest of his life there, worshipping his deities and performing his bhajan. He would make the long walk to the Ganges every day to take his bath there. One day, for some reason or another, he was unable to make it. Ganga Devi was so kind to him that she came personally to the village of Kendu-Bilva so that he could bathe in her holy waters. It is said that Jayadev died in Kendu-Bilva, and every year on the first day of the month of Magha, a large festival is held there in his memory. There is, however, a difference of opinion about where Jayadev finished his life. Though some say he returned to Kendu-Bilva, others claim it was Puri, and still others say that he went to Vrindavan. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Goswami Thakur has stated his opinion that Jayadev left this world from Jagannath Puri. Though some people say that Jayadev returned to Kendu-Bilva to spend his last days, there is no indication anywhere that he brought his Radha Madhava deities with him. In fact, these deities were taken by the king of Jaipur to a place named Gati. Sometimes after Jayadev's passing away, and they are still being served in the Jaipur area. Jayadev's disappearance day is on the 6th day of the waning moon of the month of Purgasha.